is Kaushik.
Hi, this is Deepthi.
I identify as a queer man. I've been based out of Bangalore for a long time, and I've been active in the Bangalore queer spaces for the last 4 or 5 years.
And I'm a cis woman identifying as queer, based out of Bangalore, but I have worked in queer spaces in Chennai since 2011. And welcome to Queer Conversations with QCKD. So, before we go ahead, our regular disclaimer. So, we don't claim to represent the whole queer community or the whole of Indian queer community. We're just two South Indian queer individuals voicing out our opinions and personal opinions. Yeah.
Also, we want to make it clear that we acknowledge all our privileges, both in terms of caste, economic status, socio-economic status, education levels, etc. And we want to make it clear that we represent only our views, or this podcast rather represents only our views and not a part or a subset of our community in general.
Right. So today we will be talking about dating apps in India. Mostly not like when we say India, it's not just the ones that are like made in India or anything. Generally, what we've experienced, what we've used in the past few years.
Yeah, and we also want to make this a part of a series, rather. So I think Vicky, we can call this like dating and relationships, no? The umbrella term, yeah. This can probably be a part of that.
Yeah, of course. So when was the first time you used a dating app or like even on like a web-based dating interface?
I'm 28, almost going to be 29 soon. Uh, so when I first started exploring my sexuality, I was looking for online sources. So Orkut, I used to talk to other people, 2007, but then I was clearly underage, so lots of things would have been inappropriate. But so Orkut is where I met other people. I think I was too young to comprehend the entire dating scenario then. There were a couple of guys who propositioned me and all. But then, I was like severely underage, probably 15, so that wasn't appropriate. Then, and when I was 18, I think I read about PR.
Planet Romeo.
2009? Yeah, 2009, I think. It just started out, or was it earlier? I'm not really sure. That's when I came across PR. And there was this bunch of other sites actually. Like, I don't remember their names also. 2008, 9 time. A lot of gay fora and gay websites. And there were Indian sections also in that.
Okay.
But the problem is, they hardly had 3-4 people from India and they were not even visible.
Right.
So I realized that wasn't a place to be, and Then over time I learned about Grindr and Tinder, etc. So I have an interesting take. My take or my conventional approach to dating or dating apps rather has been not really reflective of the general trend, because people get on apps really early and that's how they find people to socialize with or potential dates or partners. For me, socialization mainly happened through events and other support groups and online Facebook groups and others. So for the longest time, I stayed away from dating apps because I had a lot of insecurities, because firstly, in the gay community, apps like Grindr are demonized because they're like, a lot of people give you a lot of stereotypes about these apps, like, it's not safe, or, it's only about hookup. There's a lot of hookup culture. Now, in retrospect, I know that, the apps are really useful, and it is what you make of them. It doesn't really depend on the person. It doesn't really, you can't generalize the nature of the apps as such. It depends on the person who's using it. But at that time, there were all these stereotypes that were made, and then I was apprehensive. And then I had my own insecurities, because I'm treading on thin ice here when I say this, but there is this general culture, or I would say rather hookup culture, which is quite prevalent and it's quite casual also. And I think it's a good thing in that respect because, I mean, if people are safe and they know what they're doing, I mean, hey, but who's there to stop them? But
Yeah.
at that time, I was not really open to physical intimacy and other things because I had my own body image issues, and then I wasn't even sure. Even now, I actually struggle with a lot of intimacy issues. Rather, body image issues have gone. I've learned to accept myself for who I am, but the intimacy issues still exist. So, dating itself has this connotation that it should lead to something more sometimes. And unless you make it very clear and then you know how to navigate these apps, you might get frustrated.
I
So,
think again, I think also somewhere you need to like
yeah, that's
somebody
what I said.
who's
Yeah.
using the app needs to have the clarity as to what you're
What
getting
he wants.
into. Yeah. So I think
Mm.
again, if you know there are 10 people on the app looking for hookup, you know maybe there are four other people at least who are not looking
Yeah,
for
yeah, that's what
hookup.
I meant.
You
Yeah,
need to
that's how
just
you make.
correct.
Yeah, how you make use of the app. But the problem is, it can still be quite intimidating, especially
Absolutely.
Grinder, because Grinder is probably the most commonly used app amongst
Gay men
queer
now.
men, gay men now. Over the last 4 5 years, it was Planet Romeo earlier. I have never, okay, to be honest, I never had a profile on Planet Romeo because one of my gay friends told me this. He's like, it's only for uncles and daddies.
Oh
There
God.
is such a stereotype. But yeah, from what I hear, it is more sane than Grinder. Yeah.
Okay.
But then again, Grinder as such, I don't know. As I mentioned earlier, and like Deepti said, if you know what you want and if you know how to navigate it, you have to learn it. It's an art, like so how to communicate with people, how to detach yourself from rejection, and
Yeah.
how to not take a lot of things that's being said on the apps personally, because apps provide a veil of anonymity which can make people behave really,
Oh
you
yeah.
know,
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
yeah,
Pretty.
they can either be the nicest folks or they can like go to any other extreme. So
Yeah.
you will have to draw your boundaries and yeah. So Deepti, tell me a bit about your experience and then I'll go back to
So
anecdotes and stuff that I got from my other friends about dating apps.
So I think again my experience online was from like Orkut, Yahoo, and After Ellen times, which is like 2010, 2009. I think it was only 2010 or 11. I remember having a conversation with one of my friend. Then they had said, "Oh, there is PR, which is Planet Romeo back then. There is Planet Romeo for queer men. Why don't you guys have anything like that?" I'm like, there is nothing. So even back then, it was just After Ellen and Orkut, which is mostly like you said, forums. It was just like a community of sorts, not exclusively for dating. But only a little bit
Yeah.
later, I had found out about this other website called Plenty of Fish. But then I think at that point, there was another one also called Pink Sofa. I think I never got around to exploring them because at that point, After Ellen was something that I started exploring. I met somebody there, and then I started going to the offline meetings. I don't know. Call me old school.
How was the after learn experience? Like
After
you met someone, you said, no?
Yeah, I met a couple of people on there, but again, I think in those days, internet access was absolute privilege. So there weren't too many people. I remember counting, there were hardly like 7 or 8 people who were from India, but then again, none of them were like regularly online or anything, also. So that phase, that dating phase of my life wasn't the most exciting part, but I had met some good people. And post that, I think I got back onto the scene again 2014, 15, I think. So that time it was mostly OKC, OKCupid, or I met quite a few of them on Facebook groups, like you said. But then I also was going to offline events, which I mean, I felt much more comfortable meeting people.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I think, I don't know, like I said, for a lot of people, dating provides the anonymity, sorry, dating apps I mean, rather. So
Yeah.
some people who are not really comfortable being out there in public and even meeting other people in public fora might
Hmm.
find dating apps to be a really useful tool to socialize virtually at least. And I've heard of stories on the pandemic, especially during lockdown, where
Hmm.
people who were like really alone and isolated found a lot of support and company on dating apps. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even now, like I think about 5 or 6 months back, when I got onto a few dating apps, I got back onto OKC. I logged into Bumble and Tinder. Tinder wasn't very promising, but I've had friends who said Tinder is good. Bumble, I did find some people, but then for some reason couldn't connect. But OKC has been something that I've constantly met people, had good conversations, but then uh, I've not really met anybody off these apps. I think I met one person, but I wasn't really in the dating space at that point. Oh no, I think that person also was through Facebook only. But yeah, I
Ah,
intend
okay.
to I intend to meet people as long I think as you like play safe in the sense you make sure you meet them at a public space or have
Yeah,
enough number of conversations before you go out even to meet in a public space. I think as long as you navigate and take care of your safety, I think there are good chances of meeting people. But then there are of course all these scams that happen also, which is something that I wanted to talk about.
before coming to that,
Hmm.
yeah, I agree with whatever you have said. Like, you should learn. I think any queer person, especially people who are like in their early 20s or late teens, should know that if you understand the rules of the game, like how it works, right? All the
Hmm.
emotional involvement and all, even the dynamics, like how it
Hmm.
works and how not to take rejection personally. All these things, I think, the apps are pretty fun, and all the bad rap they get uh, probably can be what to say. It can be like minimized if you kind of understood how to go about with this whole scene. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. A lot of things
yeah.
one needs to figure out about themselves before they get on these spaces. And yeah, I think again, compared to how easy it is for like heterosexual people, it it's definitely not that easy for queer people. Whatever app there is always that risk of the other person being in that. Like I've met a few people who are like, oh, I am bi curious. I'm like, no, there's
Yeah.
nothing called bi curious. There's no thing. I don't know, I don't believe in that, at least. It's just that
I
you're in
think
denial, or
people, maybe people who do choose to identify as bi-curious, and maybe we shouldn't go there. I think right now,
yeah, that's a whole different episode. But then
yeah,
yes, there are quite a few women
yeah.
who are
Basically, people might
not.
not be on the same page as you. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what you're
absolutely.
trying to say, no?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I don't know. But look, the one thing is, men posing as women
catfishing, no? Like,
yeah, that is,
hmm,
I am pretty clear as to that nonsense, right? But then it's just very hard when the other person is not sure, not wanting to get into the space of getting clarity about themselves before getting onto these places. That makes it very hard for somebody who's genuinely trying.
yeah. I'll tell you something interesting. You raised a good point.
Hmm.
On LG, sorry, on gay dating apps, at least I've noticed that there are a few people who are confused, but most of them are kind of sure, especially over the last 1 or 2 years. I think
True,
the number
true.
of people who are more sure about their sexuality has increased. Because I've been kind of there from 2, 3 years, and yeah. So I think my friends can vouch for that fact, because whatever you told me now,
Hmm.
a few of my friends have told me that that was a norm 3, 4 years ago amongst gay men as well. But now it's getting better, I guess.
I think
Yeah, but this is just.
the
Mm,
general acceptance acceptance of this in the society is what somewhere is fueling this acceptance of
That's true.
oneself in the dating spaces as well.
That's true. That's true.
Absolutely.
And so we do a basic quick analysis of apps like
Yeah, yeah.
so. From my side, like I have used Grinder primarily. Yeah, so I used to keep thinking Grinder was a form, Grinder was a form. I used to tell you also, BP, like when we used to interact.
Yeah.
But now my opinion is like you should know what you want from the app, and I have kind of know like you know, there needs to be a level of detachment as well, like when you're using these apps. And yeah, so Grinder is mostly I would call it a hookup app because yes, you can have wonderful dates on Grinder. There are
Hmm.
options and there are categories, but the
Hmm.
way it is structured itself, I don't know. I think the kind of fields they have fields based on ethnicity, based on body type, weight,
Hmm.
body size, etc. They're very pointed questions that are what to say like they're all physical attributes basically, and you can
Hmm.
filter based on them. So
Hmm.
I would place it under a hookup app category. Like I mean, I've had a couple of genuine dates on Grindr, but there was always this pressure of it leading into something else, and there was this unsaid expectation. So
Right, right.
yeah, yeah. And also, if you talk about other apps, I thought Tinder was good. I like my experience on Tinder. Because
Okay.
Tinder, the focus is less on physical attributes as
Right.
compared to Grinder. They don't ask your height, weight, or at least what I'm not sure. No, yeah, they don't.
Okay.
They don't. There are no fields for height, weight, and ethnicity. I'm not sure. I haven't used Tinder in a while, but I have had good conversations on Tinder with people.
Okay. I don't know.
Yeah, and people were a bit more serious. I mean, they didn't assume that you wanted to like make out with them or hook up with them immediately. Yeah, yeah. You go
Yeah.
on Deepti.
No, I think I've been quite loyal to OKC
Oh yeah, yeah.
right from the time I've started exploring dating apps.
Mm.
So I'm constantly there, whether I'm looking or like I'm in a relationship, because I think I kind of look at that also as like a networking space, because few people I sort of reach out and say, oh, are there any spaces in Chennai or are there any spaces in Bangalore? So I've kind of couple of instances where I was able to sort of divert them to, oh, there is this event, do come to this event and meet them there and stuff like that, just to socialize, sort of a thing. Tinder, I don't think I've given it enough chance. uh, Apart from that, I hear good stuff about Hinge also. I've never really used it, but
I've used it a couple of times. It was okay. Yeah.
Bumble is one other thing that kind of looks like there is a lot of good stuff there. Because
See,
I
Bumble
was
for cis, I have not used Bumble extensively.
okay,
Bumble for cisheads, it's like I think they allow the girl to send the message first, right?
okay,
So my sisters use Bumble, and but I don't know how it works in the queer context at all. Like because
hmm,
Bumble is generally promoted. Priyanka Chopra is a brand ambassador, or
yeah,
used to be the brand ambassador,
yeah,
and then so it was like probably enabling women to kind of have a greater say in this dating world. So my sister would
hmm,
tell me that only when she showed interest in a profile and pinged them, the guys would ping her back. But I don't know how it works in a queer context because there's no this binary here. I
yeah,
have to use
yeah.
the app, yeah. Have you used it?
I have, like I said, I think I connected with a couple of people and then moved on to Insta from there. A lot of conversations did not happen, but that generally looked like a space where there is a lot of potential.
Nice, nice.
Apart from that, I think I've used Amor, the Bangalore thing.
Oh yeah, you were one
Yeah,
of the active members on Amour.
no, inactive member, more like.
I
And
remember when it was launched, it raised quite a lot of
yeah,
talk, even in national media. I remember articles on
yeah, a
Times of
couple of
India.
articles.
Yeah,
Times of India had one, yeah, and
yeah, yeah.
DC I think had another one. But yeah, I mean the setup, the way they thought through the whole thing is pretty solid.
Yeah, I remember filling up the form, but then not
Yeah, yeah.
registering. Yeah, because I wasn't ready yet. But why do you think it is not really popular now, or it hasn't really caught on?
I think it's mostly because it doesn't have an app yet.
Mm,
So I'm guessing that's probably what is sort of like a, I wouldn't say negative thing, maybe a thing that people need to work on. But then I don't know how much we'll be able to focus on doing something about it. But as of right now, I think there is a space, there's a Facebook group where people interact and conversations do happen. And recently, the other app that I got onto was As You Are. There's a lot of,
oh, I've heard good things about the app.
huh.
Yeah.
I mean, again, there is a lot of things that they're still working on. It's work in progress, but it seems quite well thought through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Have you tried Delta? I don't know if they're still there.
No, I have not. I have not. I heard about it. Wasn't that the app that shut down recently?
I don't know if it's shut down, but I think it has.
Okay.
But
So there is
yeah,
a problem of sustainability also because this space is
yeah.
now very crowded. And I can speak on behalf of gay men. I can say that Grindr is a very dominant player here.
Hmm.
So it's quite difficult to get people. I don't know. I think migrating a bunch of people who on these apps would be a bit difficult, and I'm not sure. I'm hoping when there have been attempts to create this very friendly atmosphere or friendly app, which don't focus on body image
Yeah.
or which don't really focus on the hookup culture. But I don't know to what extent they're successful. Tinder, to
Hmm.
a certain extent, is pretty okay for gay men because the focus isn't just on hooking up, but I'm not sure about the others. And also Tinder isn't exclusive, right? It's a general
Right.
app, and so it kind of became like that with time. It seems like a more safer cousin of Grindr. I'm not
Hmm.
sure if it's that way for queer women. I'm talking solely about my experiences, but I'm not sure. And I
So
think this space is incredibly difficult to break into, especially now.
yeah, I mean, I think with the lockdown and everything, what I've noticed is, at least when I look at woman profiles, there were a lot of them which said, this is on OKC that I noticed. I'm bored. It's lockdown, so I'm here. And all these people mark themselves as bi-curious, or oh, I want to experiment. They kind of was like, I'm just happy that they have the clarity to say that, okay, I am only experimenting. So I do appreciate that kind of clarity.
No, but
uh
it's annoying for the other. I mean, if you're on the other end, like
but
you would
then
want someone.
no, no, no. If I have the clarity, ki say, okay, if I want to experiment, okay, I shall go meet this person. That's fine. But if you're somebody who is just new into the thing, and you're not sure where your priorities are, it can get quite confusing in terms of expectations and stuff. So I think that,
Quite intimidating also.
yeah. So for me personally, I would say, meeting somebody at a queer event, whether it's Pride or film festival, or the Pride during Pride months, whatever events we have, I think that's still, call me old school, but I think that's still one of the most safest, slightly sanest way to meet people. Yeah, so like I said, I still think meeting like at film festivals or Pride is still like the safest way. But then few of my friends who've met people on Tinder made sure they spoke for like at least like 2 or 3 weeks before. This is just with cis women. They typically talk for at least 2 or 3 weeks, slowly migrate from the app to WhatsApp or Insta, and then meet like in a public place or do like a video call just to make sure the person is genuine or not. Because like I was saying, there are a lot of straight men lurking around in the cis woman spaces on these apps, especially.
So even we like gay men have some. I don't want to generalize, but there are some safety measures that I used to take when I used to probably meet someone for a date, or maybe even maybe have fun at their place after a while. Yeah. So the first thing would be to talk to them a bit, okay, and exchange pictures, right? So I used to have clear pictures on my kind of profile. Initially, I didn't, because I know where that comes from. So I won't judge someone for not having their profile picture. Yeah, but I would expect that they would share it after I have shared mine and after we have talked a bit at least.
Right.
If they're being too secretive, then I probably wouldn't meet that person. Yeah, and then so clear pictures, exchanging clear pictures, and then talking a bit about likes and dislikes and all, and then so Grinder tends to be a bit more hookup or sex oriented, so the discussions tend to veer there. So if you want to make it clear that you just want to talk first, then it's okay. You can eliminate most people, and and I have met some nice people to talk to, and gone on coffee dates and all. So that would be one thing. And second thing is to let people know that you're meeting someone. You don't have to spill the details and all, because you might be potentially outing other people. But you can share basic stuff like, okay, hey, there's this guy, who I'm going to meet, and I'm going to meet at this public place. The third thing is to meet at a public place first.
First time.
Right. Yeah. Where there are a lot of people, and so you can kind of see how you vibe with them and gel with them, and then take it further. And also, speaking of extortion, I think you have to be careful at the end of the day, because I don't know, see, anything carries a risk, or any activity you do online on these virtual spaces carries a risk. So one has to understand it. And has to be a bit vigilant about sharing too many personal details, or that's what I said. Yeah, vigilance is necessary. Like, most of these extortion cases could have been avoided. Of course, not judging anyone who's fallen prey to this, because everyone's in their own mind space, and and I'm sure no one likes to be extorted or cheated on. But vigilance is necessary.
Yeah, I think one thing that I was thinking is, for example, at a point, I remember, if I start talking to someone, and they seem really interesting, but I'm not sure. I have, I think a couple of times, it does sound like stalking, but I have a couple of times checked look them up on Facebook to see if I have mutual friends. I felt that was kind of like, ठीक है, okay, they are other people who know them, so I know for sure that okay, they are genuine and stuff like that. That was something before. This was even before meeting them in public.
Okay, yeah. No, a lot of people nowadays put up their Insta profiles, and
True.
Facebook and Insta profiles, they link. I don't link it. If someone asks, I provide them in the chat.
Same here.
But some of them by default do. Yeah, I think that's a good way, like you said. If they're provided they're open, because some people are not out really even on social media, so they might not want to share their profiles. But as much as possible, if it can be done, well and good. Yeah. So there's this controversial thing where people share their pics with others, share the pics of the person they're going to meet with others, and is it really outing someone who wouldn't want to be potentially outed or not? That's a small debate that often gets discussed, but I think it's a very fine line. I mean, you want to be safe, so you share the picture of the person you're going to meet with a couple of people. I totally see that perspective, but at the same time, you should also understand that.
No, I think,
or at least folks should understand that.
No, I think I probably.
Not you, I'm saying. I mean,
No. I'm just. Yeah, I'm just talking about my opinion on it. I probably would. Not in the sense ke, not with the intention of outing, but I am outing them, because I'm outing only because I trust my friend enough to not let it out. You need to be the judge of that, I feel. Ki,
as I said,
it's a very thin line.
Nice thing,
Yeah.
No, please continue. Yeah.
No, no, my opinion of that is that I might. I mean, um, because see, generally also, I would want to discuss ki, oh, I'm going on a date. I am excited about talking about, me going on a date to my friend. So I am not necessarily, I am outing that other person, but the intention in my head is not to out the person. That's what I mean.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, most of us wouldn't do it with the intention of, oh, I'm gonna out this person. No, they want me like they're doing it from a place of wanting some reassurance.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So in general, if you talk about relationships in the community, because we don't live in a heteronormative world,
We do
there is
live in
no,
a heteronormative world.
no, we don't follow the rules.
Oh,
I
we
meant
as
to
in,
say,
huh, yeah.
yes. Queer folks don't necessarily follow heteronormative.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, or we are not expected to rather. So, long-term dating, long-term relationships are also reflective of this trend because there's no marriage, there's no pressure for marriage, and there's no pressure to settle. I'm not generalizing, but if I could say this, dating culture is actually, I don't know, in a lot of ways become easier because of this, but harder also. So there are pluses and minuses. Yeah. And I think it's okay. At the end of the day, one has to just accept them for what they are, the dating spaces or the dating apps. Because I see a lot of friends whine, you know, gay men, I mean, who are in
Hmm.
their 30s or reaching their 30s. Like, all my straight friends are married. They met this guy on Tinder or they met this girl on whatever, OKC.
Hmm.
And now they're all together and they're happy. They're going to get married soon. Uh, it's okay to have these expectations, but at the same time, realize that our approach is not necessarily the same as straight people because there is there are different pressures and expectations. So always comparing ourselves or comparing oneself to heteronormative dating situation is also not a great idea because your expectations tend to be different then.
When you said there's no pressure to get married in queer spaces, I was thinking externally or society or family doesn't really give that pressure, but we tend to, as queer
Yes,
people,
yes.
we want to ape the heteronormative marriage setup. So we put that pressure on ourselves, whether it's about finding a partner or getting married or settling down in air quotes. We put a lot of that on ourselves, which
Yes, yes.
I don't
Which I
know.
think should be re-examined, yeah.
Yeah, definitely re-examine because, like I've always said, I think for me at least, building that support system has mostly been my priority, or what I tell people. Have at least 4 or 5 friends who you're out to, who you can be yourself, which I think should be, I mean, trying to find that in your parents, trying to find that support system in your parents by coming out to them, or trying to find that in your natal family, yes, but it isn't always easy for everybody to do it that way. So for me, priority usually is build that network, build that support system for oneself, even before finding a partner. Because I think the support system stays longer for anybody in life versus a partner.
No, I agree. Yes, the whole intention of coming out and meeting other community folks should not be just about dating or finding your
Yeah.
partner. Because initially people tend to have these impressions, and now I know a lot of friends who are still in that space. Like, I should find my one true love, and there's nothing wrong with it also because yeah. But then at the same time, like you said, building your own family, building your own chosen family, having a network of friends is important
Yeah,
because
yeah,
because dating relationships are quite complex, and if one socializes in the community with just that intention, I think one is bound to be like I won't say disappointed. I just say that their expectations won't always be met. So better to be open-minded.
Yeah, absolutely. Prioritize working on networking. I mean, prioritize working on building that emotional support system versus finding a partner. And yeah, I think that the whole finding a partner and settling down is something that a lot of queer folks borrow from the heterosexual part of the
Yeah, and there's nothing
society.
wrong with it, but at the same time, understanding realities and
Yeah.
you know, questioning oneself about are we just doing it because it's
Hmm.
expected of us, or are we doing it because we really want to, or it's a mix of both. Usually, it's a mix of both. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, it's up to us to decide what weightage to give. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, but just don't do only one of these things. I think everybody should do both. That's
yeah,
just
yeah.
my opinion. Because I think support system is, I feel personally, is what queer people
No, it
need
has
much
helped
more
me
than
also.
partners.
I agree with you.
So, any final points on dating apps?
Dating apps as such, yeah, I mean, I'm saying this for the hundredth time, I think. Today, I don't really have a lot to say, but I think understanding how they work is important, and two, being a bit cautious and sensible, like, with respect to trusting people on these apps is also important. And third is, know why you're there and uh, build a network outside these apps as well. Because I know a few people, like I said, whose
Hmm.
only source of queer socialization is through these apps. I would
Hmm.
recommend having multiple sources.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully next year we'll have more offline events versus online events. And
This year is already 2021.
oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, 2021. Yeah, oh, yeah. So hopefully this year we'll have more offline events. I mean, if not like before, but hopefully at least 50% of it is offline. And yeah, I think like you said, being cautious and knowing, understanding your expectations out of what you're getting into, not assuming the other person's expectations as to why they're there, and taking not taking rejection personally.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
some
Not
of the
taking
things.
anything personally on these apps. I
True.
mean,
Oh yeah, yeah. The anonymity doesn't make it easier for anybody to survive on
yeah,
there, I think.
yeah. It's like a two-sided thing. Like, it
Yeah.
makes it easier, it also makes it harder. Right?
Right, right, right.
Yeah. Okay, I think I'm done.
Yeah, I'm done too. That was just the last point. But it's always nice to explore and stay safe.
And also
But
safety. Like, if you're planning
yeah,
to
yeah.
take it further, I mean, we don't need to talk about this. I mean, in detail, I'm sure most people know. Like, be safe. Yeah, know the various kind of risks that are involved in unsafe sex. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, so that's a wrap today. Hope we managed to educate and entertain you on this. Do let us know if you have any points or if you found any apps that we missed out. And that's about it. Watch out for our next episode.
Yeah. So take care, all of you. Bye.
So this is Deepthi signing off.
This is Kaushik signing off, and we probably continue this series after a few episodes again because
Yeah.
relationships also need to be explored, and a lot of interesting things we have coming up.
Yes, yes. All right. Take care, everybody. Bye.